Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pennsylvania High School Football Report. I'm Brian Linder with Dan Sostek. Dan, what's going on, my man?
Not much. This is my one Friday of the year. I have a wedding to attend, so this is going to be my football action for the week. This week, hopping on these pods, but still looking forward to chatting. I mean, I can't believe it's week 9 already.
Week 9, I can't either. Time flies, man. It's crazy. It's insane. We just did all this preseason stuff, and here we are. We're heading down the home stretch, and wow, it really has. It's flown by, Dan. This week we brought a guest on. You and I have been talking a lot of football, just you and I, over the last couple of weeks on this podcast. We brought a guest on this week. We had Alex Irby on actually recently too, but we have another good quarterback here from District 3, Hayden Johnson, Manheim Township. Hayden Johnson, what's up, my man?
What's going on? Nothing much from my end. So
I think you are now Alex Irby holds the record. He's been on this podcast 3 times. This is your second time. You were on here with Andy Kendall last time, so
yeah,
you're right behind Alex, my man. So, dude, Manheim Township is balling out this year. What's going on?
We've been clicking on all cylinders. I mean, I think Landon's probably first in the state in touchdowns, receiving touchdowns for sure, and our defense is averaging, I think, probably around 6 points a game, if not less. And I mean, our coaches have been really putting in the work, and it's been just translating for us on the field. We really were determined from last year. So we didn't really end it the way we wanted to with that district championship loss, but I think we just used that as fuel, and now we're really motivated this year, and we're just clicking.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that because I was at that game last year. That District 3 championship game, because obviously we cover a lot of the Cougars over there, and I was at your guys' game against Harrisburg this year as well, and I talked to Coach Evans after the game, and sometimes when you're reporting, you ask those questions like, was last year on your mind? You get kind of the politically correct, or the calm, like, hey, no, it's a new season, we're not worried about last year. Last year's in the past. Coach Evans said the opposite. He said, this is all we've been thinking about since that game ended. And I mean, you guys really put it on Harrisburg in a way that, no team besides St. Joe's Prep in recent memories done to that program. Can you talk a little bit about how sort of that loss in the district championship game kind of stayed with you guys all off season?
Yeah, I mean, we really couldn't get away from it with Coach Evans. I mean, he's been harping on us all year about that, and I think we just got pissed off. I think it was without him motivating us every day because of that, I don't think we'd be where we are today. And I mean, it was definitely just motivation turning to like just getting pissed off about it. And I think we really turned that into great mojo the last couple of weeks, and we've just been rolling.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really started from the get-go. And you guys, it's not like you guys played a cupcake schedule to start either, right? You go Cumberland Valley, Dallastown, Harrisburg, Springford, and just right from the get-go, we kind of noticed because we had you pegged as one of the better teams, in 6A, but I don't think that we realized quite the type of team that the Blue Streaks are going to be this year. I think we kind of, I don't know if slept on you guys might be the right term, frankly, but what did you guys expect that you guys were going to come out to this type of start because of that? And last year, was that something that you guys felt you kind of needed to make that early statement?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of it is just because we've been playing with each other for the past 10 years, and we've just have that chemistry that I think a lot of teams don't have, especially with the line we have and the running backs and the quarterback, like me and Landon especially, and just the other, like, just everyone is on the same page this year, and I feel like the past couple of years for our program, that's just been the weak point. And, I mean, we really just are clicking. And, I mean, over the offseason, we do, like, a morning lifting program, so it's all of us in the school at 6:30, from 6:30 to 8:30, and it's just we get in, we're in there early, we're blood, sweat, and tears. And, I mean, it's just we're working really hard in there, and, I mean, we're in there at 6:30 and we're eating breakfast together. We're lifting together. We're running together. All the things that you like picture in a great team that's hardworking. And I think we really just matched that this year.
When you beat Harrisburg the way you did, you guys beat them last year in the regular season and they came back and got that win. But to beat them the way you guys did this year, what does that do for you guys as far as reaffirming where you were and kind of pushing you into the season you're having right now?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the more defining moments of our season. Obviously, there's still more to come. But, I mean, we went to that game pretty confident and pretty fired up, obviously, because of last year. And it definitely gave us confidence the remainder of the year, especially they were ranked. I think they were ranked like probably top 5 in the state when we played them, and we were definitely outside the top 20 or top 10 at least. And I mean, we really played well that game, and I think that really just gave us a lot of motivation, confidence, just like all around. Because there was definitely some parts of us that were still skeptical. Because I mean, we only beat Common Valley 35-6, and I mean, Spring Forward beat them 63-17. So we're kind of looking like, well, we don't really know how good we are yet. Obviously, you don't want to compare other scores with other scores, but I mean, we really didn't know where we were going to be just yet. And I think because we had a lot of new guys starting, especially on our O line and a couple on our defense, and it definitely gave us like just a guide point to see like where we're going to be this season, and it really helped us out.
Spring Forward's pretty good, my man. I like their quarterback Matt Zollers a lot. I like him.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
But man, I was watching you, and have you not thrown an interception yet this year?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the more like
33 touchdowns, no
the
interceptions.
better things that's came out of this season.
Yeah, that's 33 touchdowns, no interceptions, Dan. That's pretty good.
Thank you.
Dan would like to offer you. We know you're a Lehigh commit, but on behalf of Pitt, I think Dan may offer you a Pitt scholarship because he's a big Pitt guy, and I think he might want them to sign like 8 quarterbacks this year.
No, they figured it out now. They've got the Canadian Mr. Canada now.
A big win over Louisville.
Yeah, that was a fun one. But in terms of that, I mean, I think it helps probably kind of not to take anything away, zero interceptions. But I was interested in kind of delving into your relationship with Landon at receiver because, like you said, there's probably not many receiver quarterback duos, maybe in the state, maybe in the country, with kind of the chemistry that you guys probably have developed over the years. And obviously, you guys are both playing college football at the next level. Can you just kind of explain to listeners, what that relationship is like, how important it is for you to have someone like that? Because I know other receivers have stepped up for you, but I think everyone knows when they're scouting Manheim that Landon's going to be the guy that when you guys need a big play, you go to, and they haven't been able to do much to stop him yet. So what's that relationship been like, and do you think it's kind of even taken it to another level this year?
Yeah, it's definitely taken another level this year, especially with the amount of touchdowns and just like the productivity that we've had and the efficiency. But I mean, it's a lot to do more than football. I mean, we are best friends, and we've been best friends for many, many years now, and we know what each other are thinking, and it's just we don't even have to like think about it too much anymore. We just like we'll look at each other and we'll just like yeah. And then it's like we have this sense of confidence, and it's just like I know what he's gonna do and he knows what I'm gonna do, and we just execute. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with like the training we do in the off season. I mean, I think during the winter and spring we were working out with each other either 5 to 6 days a week, and that wasn't even with the school. We worked out with a trainer by our houses, and that was a 3 or 4 day a week thing. And we also threw with coaching Taffio and Chad Henney a couple of times a week, so that was always good. And just that's been a year on year thing now, and it's just really built up, and it's we're glad to see that it's definitely come to shine, because the sophomore year Aunt Ivy kind of stole his show. He was kind of looking for a little bit more production there, and then junior year he kind of started to step it up a little bit, and then this year I feel like we're starting to really show who we are together and just the connection we have.
So Contafio, he's obviously he's worked with a lot of great quarterbacks, Dwayne Haskins, guys like that. What's it like to work with Chad Henne?
Oh, I mean, it's great. I've worked with him, I think, 3 times because he started getting a little later in the off season, probably May and June-ish. But it's definitely it's crazy to see how knowledgeable some people are compared to what you're around. Because I mean, he just opened he was correcting the receivers, which the receivers were just there to catch for us, and he was correcting their routes and giving knowledge to them, which wasn't really expected, just because they were just there to catch the routes and run the routes. And I mean, it was really good to have because obviously working with Coach Tafio, you hear some of the same things, and just a new coach to just give you some new perspective, especially at the level he played at for so long. It was great.
Is he gonna block your number next week though when you guys play Wilson?
I'm not sure.
Look, man, when you drop the dime on them, when you drop that dime in there for that tutty, you gotta yeah, your coach taught me that.
Yeah.
So go back and tell go thank your coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all about the smack talk sometimes, Hayden. You got to talk during a game, man.
Yeah. I agree a little bit. Oh yeah, there's a time and a place.
The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.
I mean, we've talked a lot about the offense, but you kind of hit on it early. I think the thing, when you have an offense that's been clicking on all cylinders like you guys do, sometimes the defense gets a little overlooked. And, especially from us, we're covering the mid-pen mostly, so we kind of watch from afar, and it's easier to follow the quarterbacks and the wide receivers from afar than it is to follow how a defense is doing it. But what can you say, watching from the sidelines, the job the defense has done? I think, what is it, the only game where you guys gave up double-digit points was to Springford with, like Brian said, one of the better quarterback prospects in the state.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. I mean, in the past 3 games, we've probably started our possessions 80% of the time on the other side of the field just because of the pressure they've put on the offense. And there's just a couple guys like Asher Wolf, Declan Clancy, Eli Rodriguez, Carter Bear, Nick Palumbo, just a couple, Don Rodriguez, Julian LaRue, Taylor Vayu, just 2 to 3 year starters. They just have the experience, and they also have a great chemistry because I think we lost maybe 2 or 3 starters, maybe 1 starter from the defense last year towards the end of the season, and it's just great to see, and you really just have it's just comforting to know that if you don't score this possession, you are very confident in your defense stopping them, so you have another shot, and just especially against Springford because we were going shot for a while, and then our defense really started to pick it up, and we kind of got it away.
Yep. And that's huge, right? Because this feels, one of the reasons I've been so impressed, again, from mostly afar besides the Harrisburg game with you guys, is it feels like you're a team that, despite this high-flying passing attack, you guys have a lot of ways you can win football games when it comes down to, you playing some of the better teams in the district, and I'm sure as your hope in the state. Do you kind of agree with that there's this sort of versatility in the way you guys can, because we haven't really talked about the run game at all, but when it gets colder, you need to find different ways to win sometimes when there's 25-mile-per-hour winds or it's raining or frozen snow or something like that. Do you feel like that's something that you guys have kind of made an emphasis on, that you are this sort of well-rounded football team that can do a lot of different things?
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. I feel like that's definitely one of the main talking points of our team right now, just how to stay really balanced. And I feel like we've done a great job of that the past few weeks. I mean, I think we've had over 100 and over 100, over 200 and over 100 yards almost every single week we've played, which is just definitely good to see because obviously we're somewhat of a more pass heavy team, but in the last couple of weeks we've really started to ramp the run game up, and I mean it's great to see that I can rely on another person and my line to just do something that's out of my hands and out of the receiver's hands. It's just because all I have to do is just hand the ball off and I'll let them go to work, and it's just great to see, especially with the RPO game we have. I mean, it's just great to have because we have 3 options every play. Either I can take it, Landon can catch it, or any of the receivers, and Declan Clancy can run it. And it should be all those options are great right now. And it's just really hard to stop his defense when all three are clicking.
Dan, I watched him play spring forward. I know you've seen him play, but Hayden, I was impressed. Declan runs hard between the tackles. Probably not the biggest guy, but he runs hard between the tackles. And Hayden, I was impressed too. But the way you stood in the pocket to me felt like you had a little bit better pocket presence this year. A little bit more willing to stand in there and deliver. Because I know spring forward came after you a little bit, and you hung right in there and threw some nice balls. Like,
thank you. Yeah.
How much do you think you've improved this year? And like, what did you do? And have you seen that? I mean, where did that come from this year? You just seem like you're a little bit more confident back there, more willing to get the right play and make it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like it's not really even like confidence in the guys around me as much, because last year I still had a bunch of confidence in the guys around me. It's more of the confidence in myself. I think I started to put on a better performance towards the end of the season last year, and that just really gave me the confidence going into this year. Obviously, this year we're playing the same teams we've played my whole life, so there's some sort of confidence there that just like I know that I can do some things that I haven't done in the past, and I just feel like I've been showing my talents way better this year, and everyone around me is helping me do that, especially with the line, giving me time to operate back there, and my receivers getting open, and definitely scramble drill. I've been scrambled away more this year, just trying to create some plays, and my receivers have been doing a great job of just finding open space.
I always like asking quarterbacks just to see if we ever get a different answer besides the obvious, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady stuff. But are there any quarterbacks that you've watched kind of either that have come through Manheim or at college, NFL, that you've kind of molded your game after? Because obviously, Brian and I have talked about it a lot. We think, if you were a couple inches taller, there'd be your recruitment probably would have been a lot crazier than it was now. So I'm sure you probably looked
Dan,
at.
He put up numbers for your Panthers right now, man.
Oh, I don't know about that. The offensive line might be better at Manheim, but in terms of that, is there any surprising players that you've watched and taken some from their game? Because like Brian said, when you're kind of not that 6'5" quarterback in the pocket, you kind of have to kind of learn some tricks of the trade to stay in there.
Yeah, I'd definitely say, my efficiency definitely just relates to Brock Purdy. I feel like, especially how he's doing this year, he's been one of the most efficient quarterbacks this year. I think he, up until this week, because he lost his running back and receiver, he was the most efficient quarterback. I think he had like a 114 QBR. And I feel like that resembles my game a little bit. And also Joe Burrow, just pre-injury, so definitely last year, Joe Burrow, just being able to stay in the pocket and scramble around and just make plays.
Those are pretty good guys.
Yeah. Dan, speaking, Lehigh, this guy's going to put up numbers at Lehigh. Forget Pitt.
Yeah.
I've been watching him. I'm impressed. Hayden, let's get right down to it, though, man. Dan and I, like I said, we've talked a lot of football on this podcast, and we've talked a lot about 6A and what this kind of class looks like. Now, we know, you guys know, you get that District 3 title game if you guys can get there, because it's tough. I'm looking at the state rankings, guys, and Manheim Township is right there at 4 in 6A, which I think they should probably be higher. Parkland and Central Bucks West are ahead of them.
Are we?
Yeah. Yep. You guys
I thought we were. What are you looking at? Max Preps?
I'm looking at PennLive State rankings, the ones that Eric does. He does it with journalists around the state.
Oh, okay.
Max Preps may have something different. So you guys may be a little higher or whatever, but
I think we're 2 in the state for Max Preps.
And the one that Eric does for PennLive with journalists from around the state, they have you guys at 4, St. Joe's Prep at 1, Parkland at 2, Central Bucks West at 3. I think you guys should be higher than those 2 teams. The other team that I think is really in the mix, though, is Pittsburgh Central Catholic. I really like them. They're down at 6. But just District 3 alone, there's you guys at 4, Central York's at 5, Harrisburg's still in there at 10. So however this plays out in District 3 is going to be tough. And then you get through District 3. It would shock, I'm sure, you, me, and Dan for St. Joe's Prep not to be sitting there waiting on whoever gets through. And we know that they're a giant. You guys, there's no question. You watch you guys play. You guys are on a mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
The end game here is going to be tough as heck. And I don't think a lot of people are I've kind of thrown you guys in there as a sleeper and said, watch out for Manheim Township. I think the punches fall right. Yes, St. Joe's Preps is loaded, but I think you guys could give them a run for their money. If you guys can get through this gauntlet in District 3, how do you get that done? How much are you guys looking forward to that test of a St. Joe's Prep?
Yeah, I think just keeping the same mindset, just keep doing what we're doing, because you don't want to make the game bigger than it obviously is, because obviously they're a great team, and we know that. They got the pieces all around the board, and yeah, I mean, obviously it's a state championship game, but I think if we just keep the same mentality and go week by week, obviously we don't want to look ahead to that, yet. We just want to keep going and keep going 1-0 every week, and if we get there, just keep the same mindset. Don't make the game bigger than it is, and just keep playing our game.
I always like to ask athletes this, right? No secret, they would be a big favorite in that game. Like, just from the competitive aspect of it. I used to love to be doubted like that. You want to test yourself, and if they beat the heck out of you, they beat the heck out of you. At least right? But how do you approach that mentally? Like going up against a team where if you guys get to that game, it doesn't matter who gets there. If Harrisburg gets there, whoever, pretty much everybody in the state's probably going to say, "Oh, St. Joe's Prep's the team." How do you prepare for a challenge mentally for yourself like that? How do you handle it? How do you look forward to it?
Yeah, there's definitely some motivation there being the underdog, and obviously sometimes you like being the underdog, but yeah, there's been some cases that the underdog has pulled it out. Just like one that I think of is the Patriots, the should have been 20-0 season or 19-0 season that they lost to the Giants. I think we're 9-7 in the regular season, and everyone predicted the Patriots to win, but the Giants somehow pulled it out with crazy catches. I think that was the David Tyree catch, and I don't know if the Manningham catch was also in that game.
No, I'm a Patriots fan too. The Manningham catch was 2000.
That was 11.
You're bringing up the scars.
You're picking on Dan.
Yeah, but those two games, I mean, obviously the Patriots were favorites there, but the Giants came on top, and I think there's always a possibility, and we just need to stick to that and keep that in our minds. And it's football. We've been playing football our whole lives. Just do our thing.
The beautiful thing about it, man, is if you guys get there, it's going to be like something you'll remember your whole life. You guys get there and win, you're legends.
Yeah.
My man, there's no losing this for you guys, and then you guys won't feel like that at the time, but you guys get there and beat like a St. Joe's Prep. And I got to tell you, I don't know how much you guys have talked about this, but Dan, just looking at that District 3, the ranked teams in it and all, and you've seen all of those teams play in person. To get there, they're going to play about a 2-3 game stretch. It's going to be like playing freaking college football almost.
Yeah.
You're going to have to win a couple really good games, man. And I look forward to seeing you guys do that. Again, Dan hadn't been as high on you guys as I have.
That is not true.
I've been waving the Manheim Township flag. I've been saying I think you guys could give them trouble. I think Pittsburgh Central Catholic could give them trouble. We'll see.
Yeah.
But, Dan, don't listen to the other podcasts. You don't want to hear what Dan had to say.
Yeah. I mean, I think I texted Brian right after that Harrisburg game about, I think it might have been at halftime or something, about how different you guys looked. And I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we get another second straight year of a rematch in the District 3 championship game. You never know with Harrisburg. Kind of, we've seen the last week they struggle against CD East and shut out State College. So, I think I wouldn't be surprised if we get another. We get Harrisburg Manheim round 4. So that'd be a fun one in the district championship game. I'm sure even you guys would like a second crack at kind of the script from last year and reversing it even more. So
yeah, I
think you're going to get it done, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, when you're giving up 6 points a game and scoring 45 against their competition, I think it's pretty tough not to lean that way.
Hey, man, I'm looking for some good music, good pump up music, man. What I got to get here real quick for a game night Friday?
Well, on the field, obviously, is a little different. Before I go out, I like just to listen to relaxing music, not really get myself too psyched out. But when I'm on the field, definitely some Drake or some Kanye West, something like that, Lil Baby, just something like that. I mean, you can't really go wrong with a bunch of rap. But
I feel I got it, man. I got all that stuff. I asked Dan what he listened to get put up. He told me Coldplay. I don't know about all that.
Coldplay is pretty good. I mean, you got some Viva La
It's not
Vida.
pump up music, Dan. It's not.
Well, listen,
I was
listen
joking. I was joking. Dan leaned into it a little bit.
Listen to Viva La Vida. That's a good.
You can't listen to Coldplay and then go out and play a high school football game against freaking St. Joe's Prep, Dan.
Yeah, that's why I retired.
It ain't happening.
That's why I retired. Yeah.
Going down.
Yeah.
Hayden Johnson, man, it was good to talk to you, man. Hey, NIL's a real thing. You're gonna go off to Lehigh. I think you're gonna blow up. Tell everybody how they can find you on social media and stuff like that, man.
Yeah, my Twitter is capital H Hayden, capital J Johnson 09, and then my Instagram is Hayden_Johnson 9. So,
well, check him out, guys. Hottest team in District 3, 6A. Bishop McDevitt, Steel High, 1A and 4A probably in the argument for overall with those guys in Manheim Township. I think they're on a mission, Dan. I think they got a chance to get it done. And it was good to catch up with you, Hayden.
yeah, thank you.
Yep. Well, so appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Dan, we got a podcast, my man. We had Hayden Johnson here. What did we learn, Dan? What did we learn this week on the PA High School Football Report?
I mean, I think we learned that, when you talk to senior quarterbacks, they're good about not getting ahead of their britches with it while maintaining that confidence, right? I think you were trying to get him to give a Joe Namath guarantee that they were going to go beat St. Joe's Prep, and he gave the correct answer. But I mean, I'm with you all the way on that Manheim team. They just look completely like a complete team. I guess that was some poor wording on my part, but they're a complete football team, and he's the head of the snake there.
You and Eric Epler talked about team's flaws earlier this week. I think you'd be hard pressed to find one with this team. Again, the issue for them, for Central York, for Harrisburg, for any of these teams you want to throw in the mix for that District 3 championship and then potentially getting there is somewhere along the road. And I don't even know how the brackets line up. There's potentially a Pittsburgh Central Catholic. I still think, even though they lost the game and fell out, I still think they're really, really good. And then ultimately, I think it would be one of the biggest stunners of all time if St. Joe's Prep's not there at the end of the road. They got college guys at every position, and not just like PSAC guys. They got a lot of Division I guys. So beating them is a tall order. But this is one of the teams where I think they're good enough. They're not going to match St. Joe's with the star rankings, but I think they're good enough at different things to where a few bounces of the ball this way, that way, they can do enough things to maybe make that a game and hang around in it some.
Well, for me, it's like the anatomy of any sort of, David versus Goliath college football game, right? Where you have to first you have to win the turnover battle. That's always one of the big things. Like, you probably can't, it's really hard to pull off an upset when you don't turn the ball, force turnovers. But secondly, if you just get out to that 10-0 lead, 14-0 lead, that puts a lot of pressure on St. Joe's Prep. And, the team that's supposed to win all of a sudden is losing by a couple scores. You never know how a team's going to react to that. Now, granted, they've got one of the best quarterbacks in the state too. That'd be a pretty darn good quarterback battle between Samaj Jones and Hayden Johnson. So I think I think 6A is so loaded. We're going to get a really good state championship game regardless of who's in it. So I think whoever's going to be in it, St. Joe's Prep's probably going to be a double-digit favorite in Eric Epler's vaunted high school football lines. But I also think that there are certain teams like Manheim that, they'll have a shot to at least make things interesting.
And we learned that Dan Sostek can get fired up and go lift them weights and eat them steaks and listening to Coldplay.
I'm not going to sing it to avoid us getting DMCA'd or whatever.
Chris Martin, shout out to him. But UPMC, greatest sponsor in the world, Dan, PennLive.com. We got a ton of content. Make sure you guys check us out. Check out Dan Sostek on Twitter. Sorry, Elon. I mean, I guess it's X, but it's Twitter. Check them out there. Check me out at Sports by B Linder on Twitter. Dan, anything else before we go? Is that a podcast, Dan?
I think that's our podcast.
See you guys next week.
Yep.